Live Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Garnet Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. My name is Ryan. That's Vince. Vince, how the hell are you, my friend, on this Thursday evening?
I'm feeling pretty good, Ryan. You sound like you're almost exactly back to the normal Big Papa East mode.
I'm in East mode.
You're in middle Papa East instead of medium Papa East.
Oh, medium Papa
yeah.
East.
Things are going pretty well. The wallet's a little lighter these days, Ryan.
I feel you. What? Tell me about it, Vince. What happened to you this past week?
VC Noel had to make the move to get another vehicle, as one of the household vehicles decided to go to the wasteland, as it were. Totaled out. Everybody's healthy. But so that's what I spent all day Saturday doing. And I don't know, some people love to car shop. I hate it. I hate doing it. It's no fun. You never feel like you're getting the deal that you want to get. You just feel like you got to take a couple showers when you get home. It's just not great. But we did find something. So there was that. And then was it Tuesday night? I guess maybe Tuesday night, maybe Monday night. Came home from work, and there's just cascade of water coming out of my garage down my driveway.
That's a good feeling.
And it wasn't my daughter washing her car. It was the water heater decided that he about had enough. And
how many years of service?
Oh, I can't complain. I got 10 years plus on it. So I know I can't complain. I know.
Yeah.
But my wife and I say this all the time. I hate buying stuff I already own.
That's true.
I hate it. I just hate it. So
opportunities abound, though, Vince, with the water heater situation, because I would take this as an opportunity to get the hottest, most gallonous water heater there that exists at Home Depot. Is
voluminous?
That yeah.
No, I didn't do that. Stayed away from the units at Home Depot. From a trusted source of mine said he wouldn't recommend those. So I picked up one from Lowe's instead, and it does have a smart feature on it. But I didn't want to have to buy anything. So there you go. The wallet's a little lighter right now.
What's also a little lighter are the streams going on right now. I think, Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people's kids are about to go back to school next week. There's a lot going on in people's lives. Football has started. We're going to get into all the first 2 days of FSU football and practice beginning, which is, it's weird because, the timing, because of our first game, it feels a little odd to be already live in camp, but I'm here for it. But we're going to start out, Vince, we didn't get a chance to talk ACC meetings kickoff since it happened. So Vince, start off. Let's get into a little bit about Jim Phillips.
Well, I mean, the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what were we expecting, right? What were we expecting from this? And I wasn't expecting. I have low expectations for the ACC kickoff. For example, it looked like they were interviewing Norvell in the corner of like the lobby, right? Yeah. It's just so rinky dink. It's so third fiddle. It really is third fiddle, the whole thing. Now, I've never been to it, so I'm sure it's better than I envision it in my mind. But maybe not. But the speech from Phillips, all of a sudden, the man grows a few
A spine.
a few vertebrae all of a sudden. But because it's the first time we've heard him do it, no one's buying it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, it came off as, in my opinion, now it came off a little bit forced. Like it's almost like he's tired of hearing your mark, and he's like, I can do that too. You could tell it's not his natural.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's like almost someone at ACC headquarters said, "Hey, now Jim, headed into the meeting of the gated community.
He
You got to
brought some brownies.
listen to all these other guys, and then listen to yourself and tell me which one doesn't sound like the other. We're gonna need you to sound like the others, because right now we're in lawsuits against 2 of our member institutions, and we have to project strength here, Jim. The marching order was clear. So all the people that were, I guess, surprised or a little like taken aback, it was clearly messaged from the ACC. Jim Phillips, mouthpiece of the ACC, and it was clear as day that the marching orders were given to him.
The first bullet on his marching orders said, make sure everyone knows that we're number 3.
Yep.
Come on, man. We're number 3. We're going to talk about how we're number 3. And I don't know. I mean, obviously you are number 3, but I think there's a way to tout, the benefits of what you're doing without actually indicating that you are third and you are a distant third. I kind of liken his speech to the Office episode where Jim gets Dwight riled up to give these salesmen of the region bang your right. It's so unnatural and so awkward. But that's what I kind of equated that to. Was there anything else that he said? I mean, the third place thing just was funny to me, but the other points about Florida State and Clemson damaging, what's going on is damaging
and sticking up for the old commissioner
and sticking up for the Swafford. Sticking up for that. I mean, it's just unnecessary. It's just stirring up stuff that doesn't matter, and that wasn't questions that were asked. That was pre-thought out.
My overall thoughts, Vince, were that I expected before the kickoff that they would focus and he would focus simply on the product. And there's ways you can put not being third. You can say we're one of the most competitive conferences in the country without saying we're distant third. And then I expected him to just go on with what we are doing, and we're bringing in these new teams, and we're trying to make sure that we're well set up for the future. And although I know there's been some, fighting between and some lawsuits, I'm here to present the case that the ACC remains strong despite these challenges. But no, he went directly and precisely at Florida State and Clemson. This is the one time, Vince, where I'm kind of happy that it's not just Florida State. Because when it's like Florida State and Clemson, we're in the back of the room. I just imagine us in the back of the room, like we were talking to each other, and we hear him say it, and we raise our glass, and then we just keep talking to each other. Right. If you were by yourself, you would feel like the redhead stepchild and everyone hates you. But when there's 2 of the major brands, right, it's very clear. It's almost like exactly what Ed said, who thanks Ed for commenting. He's a YouTube member, just like all of you can be by hitting the join button in YouTube. He said he just wanted to take a shot at FSU and Clemson. never mentioned our football ACC championship once, which is insane.
It's ridiculous.
Now,
The things that he could have said that would have positively moved the conference forward, whether Florida State's in it or not, which we're not going to be. Why would you not, bring up the championship? This is the football kickoff. Why would you not talk about it? I know why he didn't talk about it. Because he didn't want to talk about it last December. So why would he talk about it now?
Yeah, we didn't see the fist banging and the yelling right before the playoff committee made their selection.
No. Non-existent. He's a ghost.
Was it unexpected, the attitude he brought? I think it was unexpected. However, am I surprised of what the messaging was? No, not really, because let's be frank, if I worked for the ACC and my very job depends upon holding this thing together, or at least a shell of it, you're coming out here thinking this may be the last year of this kickoff as it currently stands as a conference. So it's almost like it felt like a very last hurrah. Like he went for the throat while he still could. But am I surprised that he feels this way and he says these things? Not at all, because the reality is we are in a lawsuit against the ACC along with Clemson. So hopefully it all gets resolved very soon. And I hope, like the rest of you, that we are in better places sooner rather than later.
Did you watch the interviews with the players?
I did, and I watched the interview with Norvell, and man, can I say they were all very well dressed, very well dressed.
They all were very well dressed,
very well spoken. Everything one.
Yeah, they all were, and Florida State's first in line. They were first up to bat, and they, like you said, they spoke well. I don't feel like there was any kind of like overriding necessarily message that was given to the players to deliver. Mm-hmm. I think they were very earnest and honest and were able to articulate things. I just found it, completely strange or completely, indicative of where this conference is at.
Yeah.
With where they held some of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like if you and I held an event. That's what it would look like.
Right. Hey, we're going to go rent out this conference room at the Days Inn, and we'll have some, we'll have some Waffle House brought in. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad. Have some Waffle House brought in, and we're just gonna belly up to the lobby here, and let's just have a chat.
Yeah,
it was just strange, man.
I will say I very much, Vince, appreciated the not being coy and not glossing over where the players are talking about. They're still pissed off about the snub. Yeah. It would be easy for the marching orders from a coaching staff to be, hey, listen, if they ask that question, which they will, just say we're focused on this year and what we can do to get better, and leave no doubt this year. But no, I appreciate that they said no. I'm still pissed about it because, listen, the players that were on last year's team, I want them to be pissed this entire year that they got snubbed, because I hate to say it, like, it's not just a cliche, guys. That kind of thing, if I was on that team, that would be a motivator every single day for me, going to practice, getting ready for games, in games, is that, hey, we went undefeated last year. We can't leave any doubt that we're the best this year. Like, we have to destroy people. And that is the mentality that I think that kind of snub brings out in some guys.
Yep, and you can't leave anything. You can't expect any help from the conference.
Right.
So it's really just you.
Yep.
It's just you, and only what, and really coaches will tell you it's only about you ever anyway.
Yep.
But do you think the SEC teams, benefit from, Blowhard being on the network for 30 minutes
right
at a time? They absolutely benefit from that. Do you think they benefit from from the troll talking about, the SEC teams all the time? Of course they do. They all, matter of fact, that's why people that are not, incestuously tied to the Southeastern Conference, that's why they talk about the SEC bias, because it's ingrained in that network and they don't even really hide it. But that's not what tonight is about. Tonight is about, we're about to ramp up to a brand new season here. And before we get into the next topic here, I want to make sure everybody that's watching right now, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that on YouTube. It is free. It really is free. There are not a lot of things in life that are free, people.
Mhm.
That is free. The car I bought this weekend, not free. The water heater that's allowing me to take a shower, not free. But subscribing to YouTube is free. And if you want to join and become a member, while that's not free, it is reasonable, and hopefully you feel like you've gotten your money's worth as a Noel fan. And
Yep.
so the second thing I want to bring up is, if you are watching on YouTube, go hit the like button.
I agree. And just this past week, we had a members only video. It's live right now for our members with our EA Sports College Football 25 in depth review, where we give 5 different categories and give our final rating out of 10 for EA Sports College Football. So if you are not a member, it's okay. We forgive you. It will go live for you guys this weekend. But for our members, you can watch that right now because you are supporting the Garnet Old show. And this coming season, we will likely have some special recognition and special rewards, I would say, for those in person who come to Tallahassee and would like to see us. So definitely join. But Vince, what a glorious week. Unlike most of the schools around the country, Florida State, because of having to play in Ireland less than a month away, which feels great to say, means we get to practice a week to a week and a half early, which means that, man, we have 2 practices down. And Vince, overall, just top level, what I like is they went right into implementation. There was not a lot of instruction and getting guys up to speed and any of that kind of stuff, which earlier in Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State, there was still a lot of at the beginning of fall, a lot of, oh, we have to fix this before we can get into implementation, right?
Yep.
And even if we fixed it, well, we might be a little short today because one player got hurt today, which means that we are literally pulling from the depths of hell to fill this rotation. Those days, Vince, are over. I'm here to tell you people, evangelize to you people, that after 2 days of all the coverage of FSU football practice, we are deep in multiple positions. I'm talking in some positions 3 deep. We are larger, stronger, and when it comes to wide receivers, faster. This is going to be a lot different looking team. There's going to be a lot more speed, not as much size, although we do have some big ends out there, but a lot more speed. So Vince, overall, I would say it felt good just going right into implementation and seeing very little drop off from player to player.
The longer a coach is at a school, the quicker you can get to business. I think about, when I was in my former career, or actually in the career I have now, when I've had people on my team, you're starting a brand new team or you're going to a brand new job, right? And you're about to implement some differences, right? You're going to do things a little bit differently. The only person that knows how that's all going to work is you.
Right.
But as time goes on and there's more and more people, more and more teammates, more and more players on the roster that know what it takes, that know the process, that know the expectation, then you can get to it quickly, And the newcomers, it's so much easier for them, you know, when 85% of the group already knows what to do, it's easier for the newcomers to fall in line. Um, so it's refreshing to hear. And, we started seeing this more so last year, right? We started to get in that turnover in the roster and starting to see that it wasn't all about, hey, let's just make sure we show up on time, right?
Right.
Um, this is just another year in the system. So it's exciting because like you said, Ireland is coming.
Yeah. And
And
when players, Vince, when half the team knows what they're doing and the other half doesn't, the off season before fall camp gets here might take a little bit more time because when camp starts, you still have a few stragglers. But when 85% of your team has been here and those 15% come in the off season before even fall camp begins, those senior players can get those guys up to speed. And Vince, I don't want to undersell this. It is amazing the rule that they passed where non-position coaches can now coach. And
absolutely.
that allows the people who might need a little bit more help, the freshmen, newcomers, who might be able to be instructed by a GA or an analyst on the field and let the defensive offensive coordinator focus on the guys that are going to be starting for you right away.
Exactly. And I have, real world experience with this in the former career, where, um, you can't sidetrack the whole group to get a singular person in line. That's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's catering to the 20% rather than catering to the 80%. So having extra people that you trust to take that wayward soul to the
Yeah,
side, to work on whatever it is they need to work on. Man, it allows the rest of the group to keep going. And it also is great from the culture standpoint because if you do have to do it the other way, then all the people that know what they're doing start getting frustrated because the whole train has to stop while we let people get caught up.
exactly. And I think this is just a normal transition year from when you go from, let's talk 2 years ago, hey, we have enough depth and enough talent to compete. We're not contending for championships yet, but we can compete in every game in the ACC. Last year, okay, we have enough depth that now we can not only compete but win our own conference. But I think, listen, say what you want about the Georgia game. I know it was nonsense, all the sit outs, but even if we were loaded, if Jordan Travis had started that game, I don't know that I would have picked Florida State to beat Georgia. The depth, I think the top level talent, pretty equal. The depth, Georgia by a mile, yet last year. This is the first year coming into camp, Vince, this one, that I can say with authority that we are competitively deep with the very best continuously successful programs in America, where you look around, you look at running back and you're like, well, there's 4 guys that I think could all start.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at receiver and it's like, okay, we don't have a Johnny Wilson, but we have a bunch of speed at all levels. We have tight ends out the evening. We have offensive line depth beyond where, Vince, right now we are talking about in camp. Man, it's going to be a close battle to see which of these 3 fully capable guards will actually start on the right side.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
Vince, 3 years ago, we were talking, can please God we just find one that might
Can
be
we have
okay.
can we hold a practice?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were saying. Can we
Yeah.
even hold a real practice, because we do not have the bodies that we need to have. So you compare it to last year, and you can say, we had known quantities at the higher end, but we didn't have the depth maybe that we wanted. This year, people are saying, and rightly so, until it's proven, I think, we've got some good depth, but do we have anybody that's going to be a superstar? So that's the difference this year. And I am of the belief that we are going to see some people elevate their game
I agree.
to be superstar, and you're going to have the depth to go with it. That's why I think many pundits, which I do not consider myself a pundit, but many pundits are thinking that this year's team, this year's offense could be better.
Yep.
Better in a different way, but better. The other things that I've noticed from the practice realm, and I've read all the reports, I know you have too, that there's just a really noticeable energy level and a focus on the execution. And I don't want to call it business like that's not what I'm saying, but it's more of a care, right? And I think that comes with the fact that you have such a, you have a deep group of people that have been through this multiple times and they know what it takes.
Yeah. And there are some known quantities. Like we know, and in fact, I want them to wrap him in bubble wrap and give him a day off. Daryl Jackson is going to destroy people this year. We know that.
Yeah.
Some of the veterans that we know and love, right? Portier, Darian, Jakai, my boy Jakai Douglas, Toafili. These guys are known qualities, right? No, they're on the team.
Is Daryl Jackson a known quality though?
Yes, based on what we've heard about for years. And
well, what we've heard, yes. But and I'm excited about him. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's gotten a lot of hype, and I don't necessarily know why yet.
I think last year, when we heard practice after practice after practice that he was the best defensive lineman on the field, on the practice field, and you had the kind of defensive lineman we already had a really good line last year. It's easy to say that's pretty much a no. Like I can trust that guy's going to be dominant. And man, you have guys like Cypress on the defensive side that played really well last year and expect to be really, really good this year. And I've never been so happy to have like someone like Alex back, Mascherano at punter, because you talk about someone who saved our asses a bunch last year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have known quantities like that, it's just so nice to go into a season and be like, okay, when we punt, there's a good chance he lands that thing inside the 5. And that's little things that people don't care about punting and kicking a lot of times. They just, we'll see when we get there kind of thing. But punting, over my years of covering and watching Florida State as a fan, punting when you have a really good punter, it is so nice. It's like a nice, warm, comfy blanket, Vince.
I have no problems with him. He's proven it.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch that. It's going to be fun to watch Ryan another year under his belt. And so, yeah, there are known quantities. You're right. There absolutely are. But this, we don't have stars, right? I think Patrick Payton is the closest thing maybe we have to being a star.
Toafili might be the most well-known because we've all seen, like, every year he has one of those spin move plays where he almost goes down and then runs for a touchdown.
Right. Yeah. Every year it happens.
Which is great. And I would say Toafili's pretty close to, as far as being well-known enough. And I would say Josh Farmer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know Azarie, right? We know that the ability there, but as far as like the world knowing a star, like he's not there yet.
Don't you prefer that though?
I think he's going to be that. Right?
I prefer, Vince, the unknown, because last year going into every game, when you have Jordan Travis and Benson and Johnny Wilson and all the players we had coming back, right? All of those. We were everyone's Super Bowl. We were everyone was out to get us. They knew who those players were. They knew what they could do, and you could game plan for it. For the
Yeah.
first 4 games this season, I think there's going to be a lot of defenses that we're playing that don't know what the hell to expect.
Yeah, because they don't know specifically who's going to be the one to burn them, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, let's move on to the next thing then. The DJ and the wide receivers, right? I think DJ had a better day today than he did yesterday,
Yep.
and better. I mean, I don't want to. There's some people, especially in the social media realm, rivals talking about how DJ, is terrible because of the first day of the practice, right? But today he had a better day, and the weapons are there, right? And the weapons are very fast,
Yeah.
and the weapons are unknown.
Yeah. We can both think Malik Benson will be a star, and I do think he will be.
Yeah,
If he's anything like him in EA Sports College Football.
Darnell Lee, and Ja'Kai Douglas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can I say I'm very, very excited this year about Morlock. The reason he
Norvell's been
had
talking about Morlock a lot.
So last year, a lot of people felt like he underperformed, but I'm here to poo-poo that, and I'm going to tell you why. Our offensive line, whether due to injury or just they weren't what we expected, was not doing too great at blocking. Okay. You had to keep Morlock in a lot of the times to help. If they come out this season, the first game, second game, and show they can dominate up front and we can run the ball, you can have a lot more fun with Morlock, and he is huge.
I think that there was a noticeable change, noticeable difference, and noticeable inability to block because Gibbons was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And people didn't expect that. I mean, if you remember last season, Ryan, you and I had several shows, and not just our show, many shows were talking about how this offense, just pick your poison.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, no one's ever going to be able to contain this offense, right?
And it was still good.
It was still good, but people were talking like it was going to be unstoppable.
2013 is what people wanted.
And the only thing, and you said it and I said it, injuries can derail you, and it did.
Yeah.
And it did. But also losing Gibbons, man, that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everyone was expecting 2013 Noles, but we were missing key players at key points of the season that weren't healthy.
Yeah.
If we didn't have Keon Coleman, if at any point he got seriously injured, like early in the season, we would have been in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Keon bailed us out, and Benson bailed us out on. He would get held up, and then boom, he's gone, touchdown.
Yeah, yeah.
But this year, last year we saw a lot of, hey, it was first down, we lose the yard, incomplete, whatever it is. Second down, we get 2 yards. 3rd and 8, we got to throw 20-yard pass to Johnny Wilson and hope he catches it, or we throw a bomb to Keon Coleman for a touchdown. There wasn't a whole lot of first down, run, 12 yards. Second down, first down the next drive.
Right.
2 yards, and then second down, we get a 10-yard in. There was not a flow to the game. In fact, multiple times, you and I were both at Doak for most of the games last year. There was a whole lot of hands in the air, like when the ball's in the air, and then
Mm-hmm.
But there was enough of the, oh man, Johnny Wilson, what a catch, and a whole lot of jumping over people from Keon Coleman that it didn't feel as terrible. But we all knew, everyone in the stadium knew, man, we thought this would be better. But it was because of the injuries and the unexpected drop-off at offensive line. That's it. That's all. This year, we think those things will be fixed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of options to fix it with, right? So that's kind of what we're saying is the depth is more. We're just not sure where the stardom is going to come from yet. What do you think about the line play? What do you think about both lines? We've been hearing good reports. I know it's hard to know. There are no pads
Yep.
yet. I think tomorrow, right? Is tomorrow pads?
Shells. Tomorrow shells.
Um, so, but everyone is healthy as far as I know, and I think the offensive line is going to be um, much more consistent this year.
Yep. If Florida State is to have anything close to an undefeated season this year, similar to last season, or maybe an 11-1 regular season, it'll be because the offensive line stayed mostly healthy, and we were able to bully most of the teams on our schedule, not named Clemson, Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, for sure. And maybe Miami.
Nah,
because their line is better.
they're gonna by the time they get to us, Vince, they're gonna be so crestfallen because they're gonna lose some unexpected games.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Vince, it's non sequitur, but so I completed my first season in college EA Sports college football, won the national championship.
I got a question for you. Can everybody win the national championship? It seems like everybody's winning it.
Yeah, absolutely. But went into game 4 in my second year. I'm undefeated against Miami. They were 0-3, Vince, coming into the game.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I was confused because they had a really good, as Miami does, recruiting class in the game the year before, and yet they were 0-3 and 0-4 after they played me. So Miami, tough times, and Coral Gables on the digital playing field.
Yes. Was there anybody crying on the bench saying, "What are we doing?"
I'm sure they threw a lot of picks.
Man, yes. As a matter of fact, when I played Miami on college football 25, I think I had 11 sacks in that game. Cam Ward had a tough day.
Yeah, Cam Ward tends to throw a lot of picks, and my star, Jalen Lucas, man, tearing it up on the game. But back to
the line
real
plays.
football.
So
We're
the
deep.
defensive line, I think we're solid there, man.
We're okay.
I think that I said solid. The question is the backups on the edge, and but again, this is the way the world works. We wondered this in 94 and 95, who's going to take over for, um, Reinhard Wilson, and who's going to take over for all these guys, but someone does.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to figuring that out. But I'm pretty confident in the defensive line, at least at the first, the first line.
If you
And
want to
then
remind
we'll
yourself
see.
out there, if you want a reminder that it's not just us, that there's a position group or two that there's some concerns of, all you have to do, if you subscribe to like 247 or On3, go on their message boards for Ohio State, go on the message
Yeah, for
boards
sure.
for Oregon, for Texas.
Everyone.
There's some posts there, I promise you, that says, are we going to be okay at position? And the reason for that is because you can hit home runs in the recruiting portal and recruiting and in the portal, but there's always that position that there's no way that you can get 100% in all positions, or else there would be the same team winning the same national championship every year. Every year, hey, we've seen teams come and go, Vince. We've seen a team like Clemson, who, though we are rivals and we don't like them, won national championships. It happened in front of everyone, right?
With flaws.
With flaws. But we also see what happens when you have a key piece. If you have to have a quarterback, you have to have an okay offensive line, and you have to have, in my opinion, an above average defensive line. If you have those three, you can compete in your conference at most conferences in college football.
Sure.
So I think we have the quarterback done, like check mark. We know. I mean, I watched just the other day his full reel, like 30 minutes at from last season. That'll get it done. And that just reminded me. It made me smile thinking about all the third and threes where he just fell forward, and because he's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah.
monster, he gets it up. But you got that. We're good on offensive line, and we are pretty good at defensive line. In the ACC, guys, that's enough to get us back to Charlotte. It just is.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're the third best conference, so that should get us there. Let's take
It'll
a
get you
moment here,
out
Ryan.
of the walled garden. It'll get you out of your gated community.
So you can go. You can leave the gated community. Go head over to Little Caesars, grab a pizza or two, and come on back. Let's hit some comments, Ryan.
Yeah, I definitely want to shout out K Dog. It's not that we feel deeper; we are deeper. Like it's definitely there. And I'm not gonna. I don't want to be hyperbolic. And 3 years ago, Vince, 3 years ago, I was on our podcast. This is before the 10-win season, the year before that, and I predicted a 10-win season that year. I was a year early. Last season, I was cautious. Me and you were both cautious. I mean, 2 years ago, sorry. We both said 10 wins again. I think we both predicted 10, and we were right there. Last season, Vince, I was all in. I said undefeated. I think you said 12 and 11 and 1, and we were right there. I mean, we were bang on. Once you have the requisite talent, and it continues to happen year after year after year, talent comes in, develops. They get developed. When that starts happening, Vince, you can kind of pencil in 10 wins.
Yeah.
And then anything above that, it's like, that's great. And it's even more so important, K Dog, to be deep with how long the season can be if you end up making the playoffs because of how many games more there are now. If that happens, if
For
you make it
sure.
all the way to the national title, you're playing 16 games if you were not, unless you were the top seed, one of the top seeds in the first round. That's a lot of football, and you need depth to make it all the way. And it's very similar to what Brees Frey said here, Vince. After last year's injuries, he's absolutely right. I agree with this sentiment 100%. I'd rather know we're deep and have unknowns than have guaranteed commodities in the front line and no depth.
Yes, and I think when you're the other way, you have a. It's great when you're the other way if you're not confident in the staff that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm confident in this staff,
Yeah.
so
We
I'm
saw in the
confident.
ACC championship, we won a game that we had no business to win.
Absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely
I
right.
rewatched the highlights of that game the other day, Vince.
We
Just
ran the Wildcat. We won that game with the Wildcat people.
Toa Feely won us that game, and the defense, mostly the defense.
Mostly defense.
But you're talking about a good Louisville team, right?
Yeah.
So much so that people, when they knew Jordan
Louisville,
Shimes,
who beat Notre Dame, right?
they beat Notre Dame, who steamrolled a lot of the ACC, and who, after Jordan was out, most of the predictions were saying, yeah, like Louisville's the favorite in this game easily.
Yeah.
And Mike Norvell schemed up the game of his life to what we thought would get us to the playoff. It didn't happen. That's ancient history. But even Vince, we look backwards 4 years ago, let's go back early days. How many games on talent and depth did we have no business being in that we were sitting there with a chance to win the game because of scheme?
Absolutely. That's why, like I said, you give this coaching staff talent, a depth of talent in the neighborhood of their opponent, they're going to win more often than lose.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you look at a school that is in the southern part of Florida,
Mm-hmm.
it's the total opposite.
Loaded
Loaded
with bad coaching.
with suspect decision making and all that, and we'll see if that continues. But as of right now, up to this point, I would say, and I've actually seen this. I've seen Miami fans on Twitter, you know, even though a lot of them are confident, they also couch it. A lot of them couch it and say, depending on if our coaching staff, gets their act together.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Brett Taylor, thanks for the correction. You are absolutely right. If you get a bye as a top seed in the playoff, it's 16 games. If you don't, it's 17 for Florida State because we have a conference championship. So that's a lot of games. When you've gone last time you did this, Vince, the last time you had a chance to win a title, like actually won the title, it was 14-0. Now you have to go 17 games. That's a big difference. And I want to get back to you're absolutely right, Grillmaster. We mentioned it before. Louisville team that throttled Notre Dame toe to toe
That's
against
right.
Ohio State. Absolutely.
That's right.
K Dog, you are right. The D was godlike in that game. They were amazing. But it does not mean that the defense could have been awesome and stopped them, and Louisville scored 0 points. But we still had to score points. And we were missing everyone.
Pretty much.
And Toa Philly, out of the Wildcat, won us that game. And to go, King Spleen, by the way, YouTube member, thank you for being a valued member of the Garnet Old family. FSU's recruiting and transfer acquisition gives the ability to out-talent 8 games on the schedule. 100% that's correct. And the other 4 out-coach.
Yeah.
When you can get up here with Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, and it just comes down to coaching, I take Mike Norvell over every single one of those.
Why would you not? And that's not to say that he's going to win them all, because no one ever wins them all. But more often than not, he is going to win because he has the ability to get the most out of his players, and he doesn't make foolish mistakes generally that cost you a game.
Right. And K-Dog, you're absolutely right. I remember this moment when I rewatched the game when Mastromono went down like the 50, I think it was like the 19-yard line or something like that. You were assuming Louisville's going to score here. Nay.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
But listen, no one wanted to talk about Louisville in that game and how they, people talked about it here, what they did during the season and how dominant they were in a lot of their games. No one, all they wanted to talk about was, it's going to be really tough. And I remember this because I just actually watched the game. It was on like 2 days ago. The announcers, all they talked about was, I don't know if this is going to be enough. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Are you what? Anyway.
Wouldn't it have been nice to at that time have a conference commissioner that after that game pounded his fist and said, do you guys know that Louisville went toe to toe with Ohio State, beat Notre Dame, the same Notre Dame that all of you guys thought were darlings the whole season, and that team just got beat by Florida State? It would have been great to have a commissioner at that time that was like that, Vince.
No, because he waited until this week to take shots at us and never talked about the championship at all.
Right.
Like we said, he just wanted to talk about how these schools were causing a problem.
Right.
In December, he was nowhere to be found. He was probably planning next season's lacrosse schedule. But Ed Lemmix, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, we need Jim Phillips is more worried about getting his his glasses from one of the As Seen on TV ads on the ACC network. Vince, wrapping up our discussion, I think we're both excited about practice. We're excited to see shells because that's the only real way you learn about the offensive and defensive line is when they get in pads. Yeah. But Vince, one thing I want to bring up, I'm going to loop back a little bit to the ACC kickoff.
Okay, that's fine.
What do you think? And it doesn't matter now because we already know we're getting out of this conference. Let's rewind 4 years in the conference, right? You heard it from like a million different people that we need our own Paul Feinbaum. We need where's our Paul Feinbaum? What do you think about that sentiment?
No, man. First of all, I can't stand him.
Right.
I can't stand him. He is, but God bless him. He's made a career and a fortune out of being an absolute troll.
Yeah.
and a caricature of himself. And ESPN, puts him on TV. They propped him up and put him on TV, and he's become a pundit, but someone that is not anything other than just revolting.
Didn't Lane Kiffin handle it the best ever?
Yes, he did. He said, "Are you good at anything?" or something like that.
And he was serious. He doesn't like Paul at all.
No, Florida State. The ACC doesn't need a Paul Feinbaum. The ACC needs
a pulse.
Needs someone or a group of people that understand how to push a narrative. They don't have it.
No, they don't.
And they've never had it because they thought that everything was going to be hunky-dory in the gated community and everyone was going to play nice. And, we're going to have this nice amenity center and we're all going to share it. Right. And, you're going to, what do you, and then they look over and their neighbor is buying all the lots next to them. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What are we doing here? Like
we were going to split that.
I thought we're going to, it's just, there's no foresight and it's naivete in a lot of ways. And it's unfortunate because what's going to end up happening is a long-standing conference with some history is going to be relegated to way lower than third.
I wanted to get your take on one other thing that I already know your opinion on, Vince. If College Game Day was not already unbearable enough for Vince Ciccarelli with Kirk Herbstreit being on, Pat McAfee has re-signed to be on a host on College Game Day. How do you feel about that, Vince?
I don't know what he brings to the show.
Suits, jackets,
belt buckles. Like, I don't know what he brings in terms of respected
analysis.
Opinion.
Yeah.
Respected opinion. Like, all he is bluster.
Yeah, he's an entertainer, and that's it.
And some people like that. I get it, but I'm going to go old man on you, Ryan. Isn't that the problem with a lot of things these days? Where's the substance? Lee Corso, who holds a dear spot for me and for most Nole fans, while he was entertaining and he was, a lovable figure and all that kind of stuff, he also brought things to the table.
Yep.
Like understanding.
The program, Jimbo.
That's right. Loyalty.
Ryan Wiley, new member. Welcome to the Garnet Old family. Check out all our member only video that we just posted this last week. I don't know if you played EA Sports College Football, but there's a members only video just a few days ago. And message us, connect with us on X, and let us know who you are and that you're a member. And you can DM us if you want, anytime you want. That's part of being a member on the Garnet Old show. Sorry to interrupt, Vince.
That's fine. Whenever someone joins the show as a member, we got to promote it. So thank you, Ryan. Hopefully you enjoy it. I know I've seen you on here before. But yeah, I don't like him. I don't know him. It's not about him. Like, I don't know him. So to say I don't like him, I don't like what he brings to the show. And I do know, and I know somebody put in there, Brett Taylor said the under 30 crowd, possibly, because you see it in the younger generation and some of the older too. I don't want to just pigeonhole everything.
I'm a fan, by the way, of Pat McAfee.
But everything has got to be like loud and bluster. And, this goes back to all the other things I also have peeves about for the old crowd, which is like, why does everything have to be the GOAT?
Yeah.
Why does everything have to be the GOAT?
Yeah.
And why does everything have to be, this thing is the best and it's not even close? That's my other favorite one. It ain't close. Doak Campbell's the best stadium ever, and it ain't close. Well, I'm a Nole, and I can tell you I love Doak Campbell, and I may think it's the best, but to say it ain't close, that's just not true. Everything is hyperbole. It's ridiculous. And that's what Pat McAfee is. He's hyperbole.
Yeah.
And luckily, we have the choice to be able to turn the sound down.
I would prefer Pat McAfee any day over Kirk Herbstreit. But I am, guys, I'm in the age range. I'm 36. Pat McAfee is my demographic. Now, that being said, I know he brings no substance. And as long as you are aware of that and that what he says doesn't matter and it's simply there for entertainment, if you can square that in your mind and understand that, just like some other figures in our national society, if you can square that and you still like it, that's where I'm at. Now, I do agree with one thing, Vince.
We got to hold on. We got to correct here real
this
quick.
One first.
Hold on. No. We got to correct. We got to correct first. It's Ryan Willie.
I appreciate that.
Ryan Willie, not Wiley. Ryan Willie, just because there's two L's there.
I like it. But let's go back.
Go ahead.
I agree with this take. I hope we end up in the conference where someday,
oh man,
Big Noon Kickoff, because Big Noon Kickoff last season, Vince, for the first time, initially, I don't know if you know this or not, Vince. We never really talked about this. I wanted to see Colorado not succeed so badly that for the first 2 weeks, I watched Big Noon Kickoff as let's see how this goes. But I ended up being like, this is a really good show.
Really good show.
And then even after eventually they started losing, right? I still kept watching Big Noon Kickoff instead of College Gameday. If you had told me that was going to be the case 5 years ago, I would have called you crazy.
Well,
they have substance.
But 5 years ago, it was a little different.
And can I just say, NFL and college, Fox broadcasts smoke it on ESPN broadcasts.
There's
when
no
I say
doubt.
The technology, the analytics, the graphics, the camera angles, it's like another world.
And it's a better balance of theatrics and substance. You have to have some entertainment value, otherwise you wouldn't be on the air. I get it. That's not what I'm saying. But ESPN has gone full on Housewives of Bristol. That's what they've become.
I like that.
And I don't. It carries no weight for me. You can give me some entertaining value. I get it, but I also want to be. I don't want my time spent to feel like I've been like my intelligence has been lowered.
Yeah, you're not one for reality TV, whereas I am.
Yeah,
I do agree with this sentiment.
Oh, agreed here, Al Woody.
David Pollock is not just decent. I actually like David Pollock a lot. Who's the guy? I know this. Who's the guy that does the sentimental stories on Gameday every week?
Tom Rinaldi.
I like his stories. I cry every week. There's something I'm like, they got me.
They are great, but man, are they sappy.
I like it though. It hits me hard. Breeze Frey says, "That's an old age. I cannot stand the TikTok style Pat McAfee."
Yeah, exactly.
And then Vince, the TikTok pregame shows. They absolutely are. Now, Vince, I send you TikToks. I love TikTok. I'm a elder millennial. I'm all in on TikTok. So
Here's a question. We should have a poll. Should Garnet and Old be on TikTok?
I don't know what we would do there.
I don't know what we would do there either.
We could live stream us doing ASMR content where we make noises into the microphone and like soothing sounds, like soundscapes.
You know, but what else would be good? TikTok, and we're in a little bit of a pre-production meeting here. I thought it was Fry. I really did, but I didn't bring it up. It is Breeze Fry, not Breeze Frey. We've been saying it wrong. And someone whose name is very difficult to pronounce, I understand how frustrating that can be. So Breeze Fry, we will not mess that up again. But TikTok would be the perfect opportunity to do what the idea you came up with last season at a tailgate, if you recall.
I want to tell the people about this idea and see if they want it.
All right, so let's unveil this.
I want in the comment section to hear if this is a good idea. I came up with a segment only on game days that gets recorded on game days and then posted like either later that night or the next day. We could do it live, but it would be difficult and potentially dangerous. Called On the Warpath. And this segment, Vince, would be at Joe Campbell, me walking around with a camera to opposing teams' tailgates and walking up to them and say, hey, can I ask you a question for my show? And then be like a Miami fan being like, yes. And me asking them things like, how does it feel to have so much talent and a coach that doesn't know how to manage a kneel down? And then just put the camera in there, like the microphone in their mouth. And just do those kind of questions for about an hour and then post it later. Would you guys like to see something like? I thought it was a fantastic idea. It reminds me of Vince. Do you remember Triumph?
Jaywalking.
Jaywalking is your generation. Mine was Triumph, the dog on Conan O'Brien.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Jaywalking would be Jay Leno out in the streets asking questions of some randos and getting really, really funny stuff. It should be live. You're right. It probably should be live. So did you see this from Brett Taylor?
I appreciate that, Brett.
Pronounced Brett. I don't think we messed that one up. And I have to
address.
Listen, I have to address this real quick. Carrie Go Noles.
Let's do this. Yeah, let's do the segment. Come on.
Let's talk about this because Carrie Go Noles, by the way, Carrie Go Noles, I know you are a viewer and you might be a subscriber. I think you are. But you also watch a lot of other shows too. I've seen you on Peek Around the Corner a lot. So you are fully involved and I appreciate that. That is what a fan is supposed to do. And you had put a comment on our last video about our name, Garnet and Old. And
I don't think he knows the background.
Well, I don't know. I think I brought it up briefly in my reply to him. But when Ryan and I were trying to think of a name for the show, we were really struggling to come up with a name that wasn't your typical, and I don't want to bash anything because there are a lot of shows out there that use this, but something seminal something, or all these kind of things that are just more obvious, right? And so we were struggling with the name. And so my daughter, who is in public relations, that's her major, she's always been good about coming up with things on the fly. Like she has a witty mind for those things. And as kids often do, especially when they get to their teenage years, they start making fun of their parents as they age. And so it was a big funny thing, of course, around our house about me being old. As a matter of fact, I'll give you another quick story. My wife, who is a kindergarten teacher, had a picture of our family in her classroom, the four of us. And one of the kids one year, 5-year-old kid, came up to her and saw the picture of the family. And she looked my wife dead in the eye and said, "You have a grandpa in your family?" So that's how this whole old thing started. So my daughter came up with Garnet and Old. And I know that name may turn some people off. I get it, but that is the genesis of the name.
And I thought it was hilarious.
And I thought it was funny too. And my daughter has taken great pride in naming the show. So yes, I had to wear that. Is there a grandpa in your family? And my wife and my daughter still make fun of me about that.
And what I like about it, Vince, because I immediately said that's our show name, right?
Yes, you immediately said that's it.
Yeah, because I thought it would be funny to play on. I'm younger. I'm Vince. I don't know exactly your age, but you're more than a decade older than me. Let's say that.
I'm going to be 54 next month.
Yeah, so 2 decades, almost.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun, the juxtaposition, the play on words of like Garnet and then Old.
Right.
And we've played on that several times, and I thought it was hilarious.
Well, and it also, I think, gives us some good perspective in terms of the times we went to school there, right?
I was in the Lost
Um,
Decade.
and I was there for the dynasty,
Some people
right?
don't know this, Vince. Real quick, I told this once, I think in season 1 of Garnet Old. I was actually living next door in my
Yes,
apartment complex to Tom Lang of warchant.com.
that's right. You've
I
told me
have
this story.
I partied as a young man before he was doing the show and he was like a
Yeah,
name. He was
yeah,
just doing a producer. So that's my generation, and your generation is winning natties there all the time and undefeated and 11-win seasons for a decade. So much different backgrounds.
yeah. Brett Taylor, Vince, I'm not old. I'm just chronologically endowed. Well, at least we're endowed in something, right?
Hey, no.
Hey now. But anyway, Kerry Knowles, that's the reason for that. But I do appreciate, and I understand that it may not be uh, something that you would normally pick as a name when you're trying to promote something because you don't want to alienate anybody. But that's where that came from.
And still to this day, I think I get a chuckle about it sometimes. Just when people ask me the name, because they always say, "What's your name of your show?" And I say Garnet Old, and they say Garnet Gold, and I say no, Garnet Old, and it always is a good conversation starter because I always explain how we came up with the name.
Right.
Um, Brett Taylor, look at that. There's more difference my age and Vince's than between Vince and Ryan. Hey, now,
Okay.
hey, with great age comes great wisdom.
Jeremy wants to know, Ryan, if you're going to Ireland with me.
All right, let Jeremy. No, uh, would love to, but I had a long cruise I'd already talked earlier this year, and I have a cruise booked for. I'm a cruise guy. In fact, many of you who have been following
You
the
could
channel for a
cruise there
while,
if you wanted to.
many of the people who have been following the channel for a while will remember me joining absolutely hammered from a cruise ship, eating a slice of pizza,
Stuffing a
which
piece of pizza in your mouth.
which our friend Tomcat likes really enjoyed that segment where I did that. Um, but the money that it takes to do the cruises, the wife would say is already too much. Uh, so I'm going in February on the Norwegian Epic out of Port Canaveral here in Florida. That's already my budget for vacation, being that I just got off of the MSC Seaside this year. So the budget's the issue, but the good news is I can tell you this is going to be a positive for the audience. Vince, scale of 1 to 10, how much easier it is for you or me to do a show if the other person is producing and scheduling and running the equipment side? You're muted, Vince. That's how easy it
There,
is.
there's no doubt. But I'd prefer you be in Ireland, and I think all things being equal, you would prefer to be there too. So let's not pretend.
I would like to, but at the same time, we're gonna have some people over my house. It's a noon game. I'm gonna get this is gonna come in handy during that game
If there's any left by then.
if there's any left. And I'm gonna have a great time. And I'm gonna make life easy on Vince because I'm gonna have the pregame. I'm gonna schedule it and give Vince an easy to join. He's just gonna join in. He doesn't have to do anything else but join in. We're gonna do a post game. Vince is probably gonna do a show with others in the Seminole podcasting
We are
community.
we are absolutely doing that. Yep.
And so there's a lot of good things, and it makes Vince's life easier. I know
Yeah.
that
So
I'm producing it.
we don't have all the details yet. But we'll just kind of set the table a little bit. We are planning on having a Friday afternoon of that week. The day before the game, we're going to be getting together at a place in Dublin. There'll be a couple of different Florida State YouTube shows there. Doug Rohan will obviously be involved with that too, and we're going to broadcast some content from
Yep.
the pub or wherever it is they're going to be. We don't know specifically the times yet or where we're going to be.
We'll announce it
That's
well
coming.
before, though.
Yeah, you'll know well before. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be in Ireland, we'll make sure we let everybody know where that's going to be. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Carrie.
that.
Go Noles.
Yeah, that's really nice for you to say that.
We work
We're
really
just
hard.
fans. We're just fans. Let's talk about. We would love to have Maker's Mark as a sponsor. We would love. I was about to say we would love to have anyone as a sponsor.
Yeah.
But that's actually not true.
Blue
But
Chew.
yeah, Maker's Mark would be great. Let's talk about recruiting real quick because I know we're running long here. So we got another recruit today, and it was a bit of a surprise, a little bit of a surprise.
I would say I was not expecting it.
Malik Clark, who's a 4-star wide receiver. I think a lot of folks were expecting him to commit to South Carolina, I think. As a matter of fact, most of the, crystal balls or whatever each site calls them different things, South Carolina was the odds-on favorite to get the commitment from him. But that did not happen. And Malik Clark committed to the Noles today extremely fast. He also great athleticism. Apparently, he's got a lot of people talking about his leadership qualities and work ethic and things like that. So that's exciting, right? When you combine someone's athletic ability like that, and they also have the right kind of head on their shoulders, then you start talking about, the world is your oyster at that point, right? So.
Yeah.
Dugans, how about Dugans, man? Dugans pulling in CJ and pulling in, who was the second receiver that committed? You're going to have to help me, Ryan. Or someone in the chat help out. But right now, there are 3 blue chip receivers that are committed to the Noles. And with that commitment, Florida State jumped up to, I think, number 6 or 7 on 3 or on 3? No. Yeah, on 3. And still, Rivals is weird.
Yeah, they're weird.
Rivals is weird, man. Really weird. Yes, Parker Rowland. Yes, McCutcheon is the other one. Couldn't remember the name. So Dugans is killing it, man.
Yeah.
Here, come in a little closer, Ryan. We just need Randy Shannon to kill it a little bit.
Yeah, we do. And Vince, I want to wrap things up just because I want to be respectful of Spiratix is going to go live at
8:15 tonight.
Guys, look at that image there. You're going to want to watch.
You're going to want to watch this.
So watch Spiratix tonight in about 2 minutes now. Chris is great, friend of the show. He's gonna cover some good stuff tonight. You're gonna want to head right over there right after the Garnet Old show. And I know we went a little long tonight because we could. So
lots to talk about.
And I know Chris appreciates. Hey, segue, Chris, you're the best. Head over to Spiratix right after this. Vince, any final words to close?
I would just say, if you haven't already smashed the like button, please do it. Subscribe if you haven't on YouTube. And Ryan?
Garnet Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problems. Screw ESPN internally. And last but not least, Vince.
Send Chiefs all the damn time. Go Noles.
Go Noles.